Updated, Asuu denies embarking on two-day solidarity strike for former Vice-Chancellor sent to prison. The Obafemi Awolowo University chapter of the Academic Staff Union of Universities has denied declaring a solidarity strike for a former Vice-Chancellor. The union said there are laid down procedures for industrial action which they abide by. The former Vice-Chancellor Anthony Awolowo was remanded in prison by a court in Osun State. The Obafemi Awolowo University chapter of the Academic Staff Union of Universities has denied reports of a planned solidarity strike for a former Vice-Chancellor of the institution Anthony Awolowo. The union said reacting to the report said there are laid down procedures for industrial action which they abide to. A statement by the union said the declaration was made by an impostor not recognized by the National Executive Council of the union. We, as a union, have laid down procedures for the conduct of industrial action, including active non-cooperation, and any industrial action which is not in compliance with the laid down procedures is null and void, the statement read. Our union has always maintained a principled position against corruption, and will never attempt to shield or support anyone that is being suspected of, or tried for, corruption. The position of the Student Union of OE Life, to the effect that all the past administrators of the university who are suspected of corrupt practices should be investigated and prosecuted is commendable and is also in line with the position that Asuu has always taken on the fight against corruption in our universities. NAGE.com earlier reported that the OA chapter of Asuu on Friday, July 7, declared a two-day solidarity strike for the former Vice-Chancellor of the institution Anthony Awolowo who was sent to prison. At an emergency meeting held by the lecturers of OA, the union resolved that Awolowo was not guilty of a 7-count charge leveled against him. The Congress led by Asuu's caretaker chairman Asuu Christopher of the Department of Philosophy further declared Monday and Tuesday, July 10 and 11, as lecture-free days in solidarity with the embattled former Vice-Chancellor. Awolowo was remanded in prison after a federal high court sitting in Osun State heard the application for his bail. NAGE.com gathered that the former Vice-Chancellor will remain in prison custody until Tuesday, July 11, when the case will be called up. Awolowo is currently facing criminal charges of N1.4 billion against him by EFCC. His arraignment followed a petition to the EFCC on the fraudulent activities of Awolowo during his tenure as Vice-Chancellor of OA. He is being tried alongside Josephine Akeridalu, the bursar of the university. However, reacting to the criminal charges against Awolowo, the Students' Union of OA urged the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission to extend its probe to two former VCs before the immediate one. The spokesperson for the union Oktaji Simon said two former Vice-Chancellors Bamatala Mole and Michael Faye Ball Road should also be investigated by the anti-graft agency.